Listen Up with Jim Potts. Listen up, business owners, CFOs, human resource managers, and all managers and supervisors. Jim Potts is answering and addressing your questions and concerns, helping you stay out of court. Furthermore, please be advised that Jim's answers are not legal advice and are only intended as a guide based on his years of experience. The phone lines are open. 1-855-4-J-POTS. That's 1-855-457-6887. You can also email us at listenup@jameswilliampottsllc.com. Ready to listen up? Here is Jim Potts.
Jim Potts back on the air. You know, one of the areas I probably talked about most, other than probably disability discrimination, which I'll actually be talking about in the next segment actually, has to do with people leading the alternative lifestyle, the LGBT community. Now look, the election just took place, getting a lot of outcry, emails asking about how people's lives are going to change with a new administration coming in, Hillary Clinton not being elected. And look, I don't have a crystal ball any more than anybody that's listening to this. So what I look at is what the courts will say and how it's all being handled. Because the realities are that's where this is always going to be, and the focus for me is the workplace, not the general public. Now, it's been more than a year since the EEOC first announced that it would accept LGBT discrimination charges for sex discrimination under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So you may have heard me speak about that in a prior segment, where the EEOC, even though there's no federal law, so understand there's no federal law per se that protects people who are leading the alternative lifestyle. California has a law under sexual orientation, it's called, and it's been around since I think about 2002. I think about 22 or 23 states now have these protections in this area. But from a federal law perspective, here we go with a difference again. The same way in the last segment when I talked about federal law versus state law regarding the use of marijuana. Now, the EEOC over a year ago took in a charge and felt that there was a protection from a federal standpoint under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And they want to put it under sex discrimination. They want to put it under that category. Now is what's happened as a result of that case that the EEOC brought. The federal court, because EEOC is federal, that's a federal agency, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The federal court has responded to that charge. And I'll tell you what it is. And so those listeners out there, can pick it up. It was basically the EEOC versus Scott Medical Health Center, involved allegations of egregious harassment. The EEOC alleged that the manager of a gay male employee repeatedly referred to him as using, anti-gay epithets and offensive comments about his personal life and sex life. The employer moved to dismiss the lawsuit, claiming that Title VII was not covered under sexual orientation discrimination. Now, here's what happened. The federal court stated there's no more obvious form of sex stereotyping than making a determination that a person should conform to heterosexuality. Indeed, the court finds discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation is, of course, at its very core, sex stereotyping, plain and simple. There's no line separating the two. It is, in the view of the court, a distinction without a difference. Forcing an employee to fit into a gendered expectation, whether that expectation involves physical traits, clothing, mannerisms, or sexual attraction, constitutes sex stereotyping, all right, and may possibly violate Title VII. Now, the EEOC was celebrating the victory, noting that the decision is consistent with its own interpretation of Title VII and its strategic enforcement plan, which addressed emerging and developing issues, including coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals under Title VII's sex discrimination provisions. Now, you say, okay, that was one decision for one court, moving in that direction. Now, it is directly counter to another decision, which is the Seventh Court Circuit of Appeals. Okay, look, let me clarify this so that there's no misunderstandings out there, because I know I'll get a barrage of hate mail or emails or whatever. So let's just clarify something. It doesn't matter to me about somebody's sexual preferences, orientation, whatever you want to call it. I want to make that clear. As what we have here, just to do a little recap, is that the EEOC stating that it should come under Title VII. We have one federal court that came out and said that it is illegal under Title VII for somebody to discriminate in the workplace based upon somebody's sexual orientation. But we have another federal court that's actually saying, no, it's not illegal. So what we have now are two different sets of circumstances here, which is typical to show you the pulling and the tugging that goes with these kind of things. So you may say, well, wait, which one do we follow? Well, first of all, you're going to follow the state law in that, in the whatever state that you're in, if there's a protection for it. So therefore, forget the federal law. If you're in a state that there is no state protection, then it's a pulling situation where one federal court has said yes, one has said no. The bad part of it is, I guess, in some respects, and I hesitate to say bad, is that the EEOC is going to pursue claims, which would be their right to do under the one decision. So the bad part, more specifically, is that employers in those particular areas are going to be pulled left and right because the EEOC will bring it. It'll be for the employer to defend on it. So where do we go from here? Look, there was only one decision. It is directly counter to a decision by the Seventh Court Circuit of Appeals. And quite frankly, we're years away from this being the law of the land. But as I told you in another one of my podcasts, that in my opinion, everybody needs to take a deep breath here. Because I think with these kind of decisions that come out to put this whole situation in a topsy-turvy situation, it should not be that complicated. It's like the transgender bathrooms. I don't know why. There are 22, 23 states that are suing the current administration, over this issue of transgender bathrooms. To me, make all bathrooms unisex. What's the big deal? If you have all bathrooms being unisex, you don't even have to worry about this as an issue, whether it's in private employer or whether it's for the the government restrooms or out there for restaurants, etc. Make them all transgender, meaning unisex restroom, and you don't have to worry about all of this. So my message really is to employers is that, look, forget federal law, forget state law. If we look at this in terms of it just being a basic situation where we have somebody's rights that are being infringed upon based upon who they are, we need to protect that person in the work environment. It has nothing to do about one court decision or another court decision or whether or not it goes on the books under Title VII, doesn't go under Title VII. What difference does it make? Just if you respect the rights of everybody to live their private lives the way that they want to, let it go with that. Now, look, I know there's people out there from a religious standpoint that are going to say, well, you know what? It's against God's law. Look, I really want to keep religion out of it. So if you have that, personally within yourself, that's fine. That's all good. I'm only talking about when they come to work and in the work environment. And the same way with that same religion, you can't come in and preach to people in the work. Why? Because that would be a violation. I think it's the same thing with people coming in and living their private lives the way that they want. Walking through those doors at work, in my opinion, everything needs to be on the same level. So you respect their rights, they'll respect your religious rights, whatever the case may be. So my message is, for everybody to take a deep breath, be patient, and if you simply respect the rights of others, we don't have to worry about this being a continuing issue in the work environment. All right? So let's just say do right by your employees. As an employer, you should enact policies prohibiting LGBT discrimination in your workplace. Send a message that you are an employer of inclusion, not exclusion. Period. I write a lot of handbooks, and in there I put sexual orientation, and some of those handbooks go out to some employers who are multi-state employers. In my opinion, just respect everybody's rights, and we don't have to keep going through this. All right? Okay, with that last comment, it's time to close out this segment, but let me remind you that you can hear us on Facebook at Listen Up and subscribe to us on iTunes. Just search for Listen Up with Jim Potts. Also, as a reminder, we take calls every third Friday, normally between 9:45 and about 11 o'clock or so. And you can also call us at 855-4J-POTS or 855-457-6887. Or you can email us at jameswilliampottsllc.com. Okay, I am Jim Potts. I will continue to fight the fight if you continue to listen.
Thank you for being a part of Listen Up with Jim Potts. We take your calls every third Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for your questions and concerns. Call us at 1-855-4J-POTS. That's 1-855-4J-POTS. Again, that's every third Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at 1-855-4J-POTS. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, and link up with us on LinkedIn. You can also email us at listenup@jameswilliampottsllc.com. Until next time, make it a great week.